It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Dallas, Texas. And it's 7 p.m. in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Welcome, everyone. This is the Mad Dog. She is the Pitbull. And this is What's the Buzz? America's Best Podcast. Tonight, we have a special guest. If he gets here. We are waiting on our guest to arrive. His name is Will Keck. He has... He's written for the National Enquirer. He's been a reporter for Entertainment Tonight and a slew of amazing newspapers. He is also one of these Renaissance guys. He kind of does like a little bit of everything, really.
Oh, yes.
He's a producer. He's a columnist. He's
here
right now.
Guys, I am so sorry. I knew it would happen, and this is the first interview I forgot about. I was on the phone with my mom talking about Phil Donahue, how sad we were about Phil Donahue. And I'm like, Mom, what time is it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to go. I have an interview right now. So I so apologize. And
I was just telling everyone, I said, we have a guest tonight if he gets here.
Yeah, I'm here. I didn't powder anything, so you're getting the unabridged, the unfiltered version of William Keck.
You got the unfiltered version of the Mad Dog and the Pitbull tonight as well. Listen, we're very informal around here. And by the way, there are no language parameters, so feel free to kick it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who Will Keck is. Will Keck is a throwback to old Hollywood gossip where no holes were barred and delightfully decadent dishes were dashed out with depravity, deception, and good old-fashioned don't fuck with me or I'll bury you in 120 newspapers around the country fair.
Pretty much.
A nice guy. So says my dear friend Jerry Jewell, Facts of Life in Deadwood. Jerry's a dear friend of mine.
Well, she's a lovely human being. I love Jerry Jewell.
I said to her, I talked to her last night. As a matter of fact, I said, Jerry, I got Will Keck on the show tomorrow night. She goes, oh my God, Angela. I go, no. She goes, no, he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
You know, I when I was producing reunions at Hallmark Channel, I brought Jerry onto my Facts of Life reunion, and she was so great. And then when that whole thing happened with the girls a couple weeks ago, when it was Natalie, Mindy Cohen said, well, one of them is a selfish bitch. And I wrote about this on my Facebook page, and Jerry said, I'm not the selfish bitch.
No.
We know
who she was talking about, right?
Huh?
You know who she was talking about.
Well, it seems to have come out now.
Yeah, it was Lisa Whelchel.
I know, and I'm so disappointed because I adore Lisa. I'm friends with her son. Lisa was always a lovely guest at the show. But, you know, I guess I'll say this, that as I write about in my book, some of the girls are quite difficult sometimes to work with. And Mindy is one of them. And so is Kim Fields. She can be quite a diva. So maybe Lisa wanted to play the character again, just not with them. And she was the only one when Jimmy Kimmel and Norman Lear brought back Facts of Life. She's the only one who agreed to dress up in the Eastland School for Girls outfit and sang the theme song. So you know what? God bless Lisa Whelchel.
Yeah. She's an interesting character. As actually we're actually trying to get her on the show. I think it's actually going to happen, believe it or not. I think it's actually going to happen.
We better be careful then with what we say. So I'm glad that I said yes.
I fear no repercussions. I'm going to tell you something. You and I feel like, twin brothers of different mothers here. You're my kindred spirit, brother. Let me tell everybody else about you. His latest work, When You Step Upon a Star, Cringeworthy Confessions of a Tabloid Bad Boy. I'll tell you about that one. Tells of a notorious and sometimes nefarious dealing and his run-ins with some of Hollywood's most equally notorious and temperamental celebrity faces. We just talked about a few of them. Join me tonight on a journey and exploration of the seedy, dirty, and oh-so-juicy side of the Hollywood gossip columnist. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor, my pleasure to introduce my brother from another mother, William Keck. Well,
wow, what an intro, man. I hope I don't disappoint. I gotta tell you all the stuff to live up to that.
Took me 20 minutes to write that thing.
It took you 20 minutes to say it.
Right? Yeah, no shit. Well, let's get right into this. Frank
How much
Sinatra,
time do we have left? I think we're out of time after that intro, aren't we?
I'm telling you, right? Frank
All right.
Sinatra says, regrets I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
Yes.
Famous for those words. I'm going to start off with this one, and then we're going to work backwards into your career.
Okay.
There must be at least in a 30-plus year career, there's got to be at least 2 or 3 that stand out as maybe I should have just like passed on that one or been a little kinder, gentler, took the George Bush approach. What do you think? Where are we on that one, Will?
I'm missing the Democratic convention to be with you guys, so this better be a great hour.
It will be, I promise you. Oh, by the way,
yes.
In honor of you, I have my Biden Fetterman Cup 2024.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Biden Fetterman. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping for John Fetterman.
Can't you get a new? I think they have some new cups out now with the Harris. So
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Yes, standout stories. Well, funny you should mention that. I have 39 standout stories in my new book. When You Step Upon a Star. Yeah, those are the best ones.
Yep. We're going to get a copy of that too, by God.
Yes.
I know the guy that wrote that book.
I am. Yeah, I can probably set you up with one. Yes. I mean, these are so here's the deal. So I was entertainment reporter for 30 years. I still do interviews. It's not my main thing. But most of those interviews went really well. You know, the celebrities were very happy. The publicists were happy. And I found that nobody cared about those interviews. Nobody wanted to hear those stories. The stories people wanted to hear were when things went horribly wrong. And at one point, my book was actually going to be called Horribly Wrong. But yeah, these are the times when I stepped in it, when I asked inappropriate questions, or when I was in a high-speed chase with a celebrity, or when I stole their garbage or snuck into their weddings and funerals. I did all that shit.
I love this kind of stuff. You just don't know. Amelia, do we live for this kind of shit?
I know, right? So you call yourself
really
the ambulance chaser of the Hollywood to get the truth?
Well, I mean, I did actually chase Elizabeth Taylor to the hospital. I did. I was in a high-speed chase with Elizabeth Taylor when she was going to have another one of her bionic surgeries. And I tell you, that's a time when the good little angel on my shoulder got the best of me. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm chasing this legend to get an operation. So I pulled over to the side of the road. I let her go. I did not make the same decision when I was in a high-speed chase with Britney Spears. That we did all the way to the end.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you gotta watch it because I love Brit.
I
love Brit. I think Brit's the bomb.
My gosh. Do you watch her daily pole dance in her underwear?
I do. Brother, I'm glued to that Instagram.
I thought you were going to say I'm glued to that pole.
I'm telling you, right? So let's talk about this. One of the things that you're known for,
yes,
is a term that we used to use called guerrilla journalism back in the day.
Okay.
And so let's talk about what it's like to hang from a tree branch trying to photograph Dean Martin's funeral. Sometimes you have to question, is it really worth the effort? Was it worth it?
Absolutely it was. I mean, we didn't get any photos, but up in that tree, I got to hear Rosemary Clooney singing some of the Dean Martin standards. Yeah, this is a true story. I love this. Wow. So I was assigned to sneak into Dean Martin's funeral. I was in the cemetery early. They cleared the cemetery grounds. Security came and said, we have a VIP event. So I was roaming around the cemetery walls, and I saw that a neighbor's tree was growing into the cemetery over the wall. So I rented the tree for $500 for the evening.
Oh my God.
That's so funny.
And I climbed up there with my photographer. I was the reporter. I had a photographer with me. And yes, from up there, we could see Bob Newhart, the late, great Bob Newhart, signing his name. And gosh, who else? I mean, Tony Danza. You mentioned Frank Sinatra. He was there. Rosemary Clooney. I mean, it was incredible. And I tell you, for the book, I apologize to as many of these stars as I can in the book. But I of course, couldn't apologize to Dean. So instead, I got Rich Little, one of his best friends, to give me an essay, a 2-page essay in the book. And he said that Dean would have thought it was hysterical that I was up in that tree. He would have applauded me. He says, Frank Sinatra would not have appreciated. Frank Sinatra would have taken an axe and chopped that tree down, according to the
yeah, absolutely. Sure that would. Amelia, questions for Will Keck.
You said that like working for the Inquirer is like being in the mafia. What is like the dirtiest thing that you've had to do to just get a story?
Oh my gosh! Well, I really think it's these death stories that I had to do. And I mean, one of the stories that's super fun is, do you remember? You're so young. There was an actor named Telly Savalas.
Yes, I remember him.
Kojak, and he was also Blofeld in one of the James Bond movies. Well, we found out he was buried in an unmarked grave for many months after his death. So the Inquirer would send me to get photos of this green plot of grass, and we would just kind of give it to the family for allowing this to happen. Well, finally, I was in the middle of the summer. I was getting sick of driving over the hill to Forest Lawn Cemetery. So I called the Forest Lawn, and I said, hey, what's the holdup? And I got to tell you, I was calling not as William Keck. I was calling as someone close to the family, is what I'll say. And they said, well, as you know, the family's not getting along. We can't get you all together in the same place for the installation of the stone. So I said, well, you know what? Will you do me a favor? You're right. We're not getting along. Will you call the family and tell them Thursday at 4:00? So I arranged for the installation of Telly Savalas' headstone. And in the book, we have a photo of that headstone. And I got to tell you, it wasn't me. My proofreader caught that the inscription on the headstone is wrong. So there's yet another scandal with Telly Savalas' tombstone.
Oh my
a quote from
God.
Aristotle that was actually said by another philosopher. So it just family loves
My
me.
guest tonight is Will Keck, producer, columnist, celebrity ball breaker, and all around nice guy. You say you talk a lot in your book about your friendships with celebrities, but you also talk about the people whose feathers you've ruffled and people, quite frankly, that you don't like and don't like you.
I feel there's some negative quotes coming. I can just feel it's about to happen.
No. This is all good.
Okay.
It's okay.
Bruce Willis, a Jersey boy, actually grew up about 20 minutes from here.
Love Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce said you say of Bruce that he threatened to burn down your house. That Drew Barrymore left a message, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Yes.
On your answering machine. Ellen DeGeneres, who I could give two shits about, said, I don't like you so much. And Fran Dresser from The Nanny said she gave me a rather aggressive verbal spanking. Now, I don't care what kind of spanking I get from Fran Drescher, I'll take it. There you go.
Well, I will let Fran know that there's a waiting ass waiting to be spanked.
Tell her there's a dirty bad boy Italian in New Jersey waiting
with his pants down, waiting to take it. All right, I will let her know. Yeah,
yes,
no,
sir.
These people, a lot of these people do not like me, and for good reason. I mean, and that's not even the worst of it. I write about a celebrity in the book who beat me up. He beat me up until I was bleeding. And another celebrity grabbed my crotch without asking. Very, very naughty thing to do. And then Kelsey Grammer, in his own book, he said, William Keck, he called me a despicable piece of flesh who he invited to fry in hell.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you have to. Let me tell you something. When you piss off America's perennial favorite, Dick Van Dyke, to the point where he wants Andy Griffith to bitch slap you.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's true.
What happened to I have to hear this because this household loves Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah, well, this household adores Dick Van Dyke, and that's the whole thing here. Is that I came out to Hollywood to meet my favorite stars, and I ended up having them hate me because I was working for the Inquirer. It's awful. So yes, so I when I was in my careless 20s, I was ageist. I think I was, and from the Inquirer, I think I learned to describe things with too much detail. So when I was actually working for the LA Times after I quit the Inquirer, I met Andy Griffith on a soundstage. And I described the experience to my readers down to his little speckled hand. And Dick Van Dyke, he read the Los Angeles Times every day, and he really took offense to me talking about this TV legend's speckled hand. And as I'm talking to you right now, I'm looking down at my own speckled 50-something hands. And he wrote a letter to the editor saying just what you said, that Andy Griffith should take his little speckled hand and put it in your face. Yeah. And then another time he wrote to Army Archer and complained that I called his show Diagnosis Murder a prune juice down version of ER. And he wrote Variety and said, I personally don't drink prune juice, but if I did, I would find use for the paper your article is written on.
Oh no.
I see, but look, I look at it, they see that as disparaging. The Mad Dog and the Pit Bull see that as truth in advertising. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
Well, it is, and
it was the prune juice version for sure.
Yeah,
it was. Let's be honest. It was.
Look, I gotta say, Keck, you didn't lie about it. Okay.
No.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I want to talk to you. I want to get into some of this. The early days. You started out largely as a columnist.
Yes.
And a lot of what you have in the book is reflective of the way a columnist writes. Do you ever, and I know you say you still work some today, but do you ever lose that that inert desire to go out and chase the story, or is that always there?
Absolutely not. No, I did it. My chasing days are over. And all the people I wanted to chase are dead now. That's
true. Yeah.
I ended up chasing them to the cemetery. What more is there to do?
One of the nicest guys, he's known as one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, Henry Winkler.
Oh, I love him.
How and why did you piss off Henry? What happened there?
I didn't. No. Listen, so what people should know is that this was a long time ago when I did this.
Okay.
Over the last 20-some years, I've worked as a legit journalist and TV producer for the Hallmark Channel. What's more wholesome than that? And I had a chance to,
I love Hallmark.
Yeah, I had a chance to have these celebrities know me in a different light, and a lot of them wrote essays in my book, letting people know that I have changed my ways, that a leopard can change his spots. And in the front of the book, there's a ton of quotes from my celebrity friends, kind of saying good things about the book. And the first one that I include is from Henry Winkler. So he's actually giving me a pat on the back.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah.
One person that's probably not a great fan of yours is a woman you're going to see here in just a second. Well, these are
well, there's a lot of women here. Marianne Ross loves me. Pam Dauber has no problem with me. Rhea Perlman doesn't like me. Kirstie Alley did not like me, and Joan Collins did not like me. But Linda Evans, you see, Linda Evans wrote a lovely thing for my book, so 1 out of 16 ain't bad. But
well, let's talk about it's interesting you're here with two Williams. You got the Williams ×2 and Will Keck. Cindy Williams, the late Cindy Williams, and Robin Williams. What was that occasion?
There's no Cindy Williams in that photo. There's no Shirley from Laverne and Shirley. That's Mork and Mindy. That's Pam Dauber.
Is that
Pam? It's Pam Dauber from Mork and Mindy. Yes, on the bottom right.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks like. Oh, damn. She looks like Cindy in that picture.
Yeah. No, that's Pam Dauber.
That's Pam Dauber. Yeah. That was this photo that we're putting up is I think the first time since Mork and Mindy ended that Pam Dauber and Robin Williams worked together. And the story here is, if you see in this photo, I'm wearing these suspenders, these
from Mork and Mindy.
And that's
Yeah.
just like what Mork wore on the show. And so the night before this interview, I bought those suspenders, but I couldn't find an adult size. I could only find a children's size. So during my whole interview with Robin and Pam, my jeans were sliding up on my crotch.
Oh God.
And I was in such pain. And at one point, Pam Dauber mentioned the word balls. And I saw this as an opening. I said, Pam, Robin, I got to tell you, my balls are killing me because of these damn suspenders. And Robin Williams, bless his heart, he said that he could tell what religion I was from looking at my tight jeans. They were great. They were great.
Probably a woman that's not real crazy about Morgan Fairchild.
They all love me. Morgan Fairchild loves me. This is from just last year when I played a part on General Hospital. I was her evil assistant on General Hospital. So yeah, and Morgan also writes a lovely blurb for my book. Barbara Eden writes a nice blurb for my book. I've given her a copy of my book already.
Oh, I love Barbara Eden.
Yes.
There's one individual you're with here. I'm not a favorite of this particular person, the Dolly Parton.
What?
Yeah, well, I lived in Tennessee for 15 years, so it explains that.
Wait a minute. The world adores Dolly
country
Parton.
music fan.
Like, she's like Betty White. What in God's name did Dolly Parton ever do to you, Mad Dog?
She purchased a place called Dollywood that was a beautiful amusement park in Sevierville, Tennessee, and turned it into a shit show.
Well, oh, come on. Now, that is so not true. So listen, so the picture I have up here, Dolly came on to Home and Family for a show. I brought her on the show. She had such a great time, and she invited our whole production to go on location to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, to do a week's worth of shows at Dollywood. She could not have been more gracious and lovely. And I got to say, from somebody who's been to Disneyland many times, Dollywood is even cleaner than Disneyland. And it has the most thrilling rides. I was expecting these kind of broken down rides from the 1940s. It was terrifying, some of these roller coasters.
The train ride was my favorite.
Oh, amazing.
With the
amazing.
cowboys.
Incredible.
Yeah.
One of the people in that photo, the late Dak Rambo. There's a story you have with Dak.
Yeah.
Would you tell everyone that story, please?
Yeah, so there's no humor with this one. So, the book takes you on a ride. Some of the stories are very funny, but there are some stories that were very confrontational to me that I take responsibility for, and I apologize as best as I can. So this was a horrible story. This was my very first assignment for the National Enquirer. I did not know how things worked, and I received a call from an anonymous source at a hospital that they had a patient who had been on the TV show Dallas who was dying of AIDS. And I said we would be interested in the story. I didn't know how to accomplish this. So the Enquirer paired me up with this hotshot reporter named Brad Weisberg, who they said, follow Brad. Brad knows what he's doing. If you do what Brad does, then you're going to go far. Yeah. So Brad and I drove up north to, I think it was Kern County, to this hospital, and we couldn't find Dak in his hospital bed. We made a couple attempts, and Brad said, okay, we're done. And I said, well, what do you mean we're done? He said, we have enough. You don't spend the whole day here, do you? So Brad took me to a diner, and I watched him write the entire fake deathbed interview with Dak Rambo. All made up. His final words then appeared in the Enquirer. I was just I couldn't believe it. This is the way things happen. Everyone kind of thought the Enquirer made up stuff, but this blatantly, and in fact, they did not. Brad was breaking the rules in a big way, and he didn't last long at the Enquirer. Yeah. I had asked for my byline to be removed. Yeah. I didn't want this to be called a deathbed interview, because it wasn't legit, but also he didn't die at that time. He went home with his mother to die. Yeah. So listen, again, I couldn't apologize to Dak. I sure wish I could. Instead, the actress who played his ex-wife on Dallas, Cherie J. Wilson, also on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Wrote a lovely tribute that's in my book to Dak Rambo to let people know his true legacy as somebody who was one of the very first people to come out in Hollywood as gay and having AIDS. So what a hero. He's a hero of mine, and I'm sorry I did him wrong.
Yeah. The National Enquirer, not always reliable, not always on the level. At least it wasn't back in the day. There was a guy, you may have worked for him, Will. I'm not sure. I'm going to find out now. His name was Mike Walker.
Ah,
Did you work for Mike?
is Mike still alive? Do we know?
I don't know, but I met him twice. And
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you about Amelia, do me a favor.
Yes.
Check this out. Mike Walker, National Enquirer.
Yeah, see if he's still alive, because that'll affect how I tell the
See if
story.
he's still living.
Yeah.
Because it may alter Will's answers.
No, it definitely will. Well, while Amelia's looking, why don't you, Mad Dog, tell me your experience with
Okay,
gospel columnist Mike
this
Walker.
was around the time that Elvis Presley passed away,
Yes.
and I have connections with the Presley family.
Uh-huh.
All right, now
He passed away in 2018.
2018.
He
Okay.
did.
February.
Okay.
One of the things that he would always say, whether he was on Phil Donahue or Geraldo Rivera or any number of shows, was that he would absolutely attest to the accuracy, the validity. There's no question in his mind ever on any story that it was factual. You were getting the truth, the whole truth,
Right.
and nothing but.
Right.
Which of course was all bullshit.
Bullshit. Total
Yeah,
bullshit.
complete bullshit.
Yes. Yeah, I
But
tell the
one
whole
of the
story.
things- and I'm curious because as I said, I have connections with the Presley family, and in fact, Amelia's husband used to work for Graceland.
Really?
He was
Yes.
the groundskeeper. He was the groundskeeper at Graceland.
Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
I
That's
had
for real.
I had the great honor of interviewing Priscilla along with other Dallas cast members just a few months ago.
Yeah,
She's lovely.
yeah. And I had the chance to speak to Lisa Marie, God rest her soul, some years back. The question I have regarding Mike Walker, they say that he had this whatever it takes to get the story attitude, even if you had to, in his words, circumnavigate the truth.
Huh.
Now, I've heard that from a few people.
Yes.
So you know that what I'm
Yes.
telling you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so
How much? Here's my question
Yeah,
to you,
yeah.
as a National Enquirer reporter, a columnist, a gossip reporter, whatever term you want to
yeah.
utilize. Okay, how much is too much?
Mm.
How
Well,
much
I will say this.
tweaking is
For
before
the
you?
Enquirer, there was never too much. And
Right.
so the deal is that we would get a tip that so and so were having problems in their marriage, a disagreement. Well, all of a sudden they were on the verge of divorce.
Yeah,
A couple is talking about moving in with each other. They're engaged. So we would work very hard to get the story. We
Yeah.
would submit our stories to the home office in Lantana, Florida. And there were these kind of three mystery guys who would do all the writing of the articles, take our stories and write them in Enquirer style. And sometimes, a lot of times, we would get the issue and I'd be like, well, wait a minute, that's not exactly what I wrote. And
yeah.
so they would just make it more sensational to get that headline that would sell papers.
Amelia, questions for Will?
I know that you said something about heroes earlier, but do you think it's a good idea to meet your hero, and you might find yourself being disappointed in meeting your hero?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you, do either of you remember a couple shows called either Soap
Yes.
or
Oh my
Empty
God,
Nest?
sure.
Empty Nest. Okay,
Yes.
well, one of the
Richard
people
Mulligan.
I loved Richard Mulligan.
I do too. Great. He was a great, amazing actor.
I love Richard Mulligan. So when I first came to California, I did not know anybody. I had no connections at all. And like Lucy, I wanted to get into the biz. So
Yeah.
I got a job as a security guard. And this particular security company did security for concerts and award shows. And by the grace of God, I was assigned backstage at the Emmy Awards on the rehearsal day. So that meant the celebrities were all coming in. They were grabbing these awards that I was guarding, doing a speech. They were in their jeans and T-shirts, and they would walk off. So I wasn't supposed to talk to any of them. But Richard Mulligan my hero Burt Campbell from Soap, when he would make himself invisible and he was kidnapped by aliens. I couldn't resist, and I went up and I said, I'm William Keck. I just moved here, and I got to tell you, I'm such a fan. Chatted me up very nicely, and when he said he had to go, he's the one, guys, who reached down and grabbed my crotch.
Oh my gosh.
He reached down and grabbed my crotch, and it was the weirdest thing. You know, I mean, if I knew that it was my first sexual experience in California.
That's
I mean, if I'd known it was going to be from a Burt Campbell, I would have chosen Burt Reynolds, even Burt Ward. You know, from Batman would have been better than. So I tell you again, he's been dead for a long time.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Actually, in this case, he should have apologized to me. But I reached out to one of his Soap co-stars, an actress named Diana Canova.
Sure, absolutely.
Corinne Tate.
Sure.
And she wrote an essay in the book, and it was her understanding that Richard was not gay, that this was kind of a locker room behavior, that he would just kind of give me a grab as, Goomba kind of a thing, locker room talk, but
absolutely.
I don't know. But let's take this.
The kind of guy would, slap you on the ass, grab your cajoons,
Okay, so mine were 20-year-old cahoons, and his were 60-something dangling cahoons.
Back then, for sure.
Is it appropriate for a 60-something-year-old man to grab the crotch of some kid he just met a minute ago? I think not. And if this is locker room behavior, the next time I go to the gym, I'm going to go crazy meeting new friends.
Absolutely. Will Keck has graced the National Enquirer TV Guide. He was a red carpet reporter for Entertainment Tonight. Particular favorite of
Entertainment Weekly.
I'm sorry, Entertainment Weekly. We'll take that down. Entertainment Weekly, and a particular favorite of Morgan Fairchild and Donna Mills.
Correct.
There you go. Let's I want to talk to you about you put together something. I had no idea you were even involved in any of this. One of my favorite people, and I really mean this truly, Josh Gates. I love what Josh does. Yeah, those adventure shows. I love these adventure shows.
Yeah,
you produced that, Josh Gates Tonight.
I was the senior talent producer for 2 seasons of Josh Gates Tonight. Yes.
Okay. The Partridge Family Reunion, Brady Bunch, Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley. By the way, do you know Mark Sodkin?
I don't. That sounds very familiar though.
Mark was the writer, producer, director of The Golden Girls, Laverne and Shirley, writer for Laverne and Shirley, among other things, Charles in Charge. He's a good friend of mine, a good friend of the show. So and when I saw Laverne and Shirley and I seen Happy Days, I thought, I wonder if Will knows Mark. Well,
so here's the deal. If Mark is watching, he will say, no way did Will Keck ever produce half this stuff. And that's the deal. Let me correct you. So sure. Later in my career, I did get to produce 2-hour reunions with. There was a little Happy Days reunion we had, but I did Little House on the Prairie and The Waltons, Star Trek, The Next Generation, Dynasty, Knots Landing. So some of these are true. But also in the book, before I reached that level, I went to interview some of these cast reunions. I went to Southport to interview the cast of Dallas and the Carrington Mansion to interview the cast of Dynasty. So in the back of my book, I have this multi-page TV family album with these reunited casts. And I would say about half of them I did produce, and half of them I was a guest there, getting to meet them, interview them, and be photographed with them. So yes. So my obsession with getting cast together has been part of my life since I first watched the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island.
There you go. That's my boy. That's my boy. Amelia, around the questions for Will Keck.
Yes, I noticed that a lot of TV now is nothing but reality shows, and I miss the days that we had, like Knots Landing, Falcon Crest, Dallas. Do you think that there's a way that we could bring those kind of shows back to bring families together to watch TV again?
Well, I'll tell you, right before this interview was starting, I told you I got off the phone with my mom.
Yes.
An actress from one of those shows called me. We're working on something right now.
Oh.
So maybe next time I meet you guys, I'll have something exciting to talk about.
Oh, terrific.
But yeah, I miss those days too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was great, you know, and I talk about how, you know, these nostalgic shows that I write about in the book, you know, Family Ties, The Brady Bunch,
Yes.
and Laverne and Shirley. These were shows that we all watched.
Yes.
3 networks on the air, and if you didn't watch the episode of Dallas that night, you'd have to wait till the summer to catch a rerun of it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And then you're out of luck. Then you're not going to see it again.
Yeah.
So these were all of our TV families.
Sure.
And now with 8 million TV shows on a zillion different networks, we're all watching things separately, and I don't watch Bridgerton, and I don't know, I'm not watching the Real Housewives of Bolivia. So we don't have that common discussion anymore as we do about these shows that are in my book, and I miss that terribly.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I interviewed Dawn Wells and Bob Denver some years ago.
Fabulous.
And
this week I'm interviewing Tina Louise. I'm having an interview with Ginger. So
would you do me a favor, please, and tell her I said hi?
I will. Mad Dog says hi, Ginger.
Yeah. Please. I had the opportunity to interview Bob Denver and Dawn Wells.
So exciting.
And one of the things that they said collectively, and talking about exactly what Pitbull brought up, you know, being able to watch TV, that one of the things that they credited back then was the intense amount of time the writers would spend together. Today, you don't have that camaraderie. You don't have the Sid Caesar writing room with Mel Brooks and Howie Morris and
Reiner.
That's done. Right. I'm going to give my age away. I'm 65, so I'm probably a few years senior of you.
You look great. You look great.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And one of the things that I miss in television is solid comedic. I love to laugh. Yeah. And we do a lot of laughing on this show.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. And one of the things I love to do is laugh, and I don't understand why. And Will help me with this.
Yeah, I'll try.
Why don't we have any decent comedy writers? Where are all the comedy writers?
Well, you know, I think comedy became cool. And I don't know exactly when this happened. I think maybe with Arrested Development, you know, it shifted from just being funny with funny characters and setups to being kind of edgy and a kind of a dramedy, half comedy, half drama.
Yeah.
And from that, it shifted to Ally McBeal. And these are shows that I liked, but comedies then lost the laugh track. They lost the studio audience.
Yeah.
And they became just kind of, I don't know, you giggle or something. I mean, we're watching Emily in Paris, which I guess is a comedy. I'm not sure. It just we have lost that standard situation comedy. We talked about Kelsey Grammer. He's coming back next month with the second season of his rebooted Frasier. I particularly didn't like the first season. I hope the second season will be better. But yeah, I miss it terribly. I don't know. We're all just too cool now to just laugh and be silly with Mork and Mindy.
You heard me say at the beginning of the show when I introduced you, you are a throwback to old Hollywood. I remember, based on my age and my experience, I remember the columnist of the day, people like Hedda Hopper, people like,
Luella Parsons. Luella Parsons.
Luella Parsons, yes.
Yep.
People like that. I remember people like that. I remember the early days of the Merv Griffin show, watching the entertainment reporter come on and talk gossip on national TV.
Rona Barrett. Remember Rona Barrett's Hollywood?
I loved Rona. Her hair was a different shade of blonde every week.
Right, that's true. I was just on the set of Fantasy Island and can tell you Hervé Villachez is causing trouble, Merv.
Yeah, exactly. I missed that. What happened to is old Hollywood? making, I hate to use this word, I don't even want to use it, but I have to, is old Hollywood making a resurgence in this new breed? Because I'm seeing like little twinkles of old school Hollywood making its way back in.
Like what?
And for example, kayfabing certain things. Now, kayfabing is a term we used to use in professional wrestling. It's not letting the outside in on the secret.
Okay.
So, and I see that happening, particularly with guys like Brad Pitt are great with kayfabing. He could talk to you for an hour and not tell you a damn thing.
Ain't that the truth?
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, great guy. But I mean, I couldn't understand a word he was telling me when I interviewed him.
And that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of guys like that. Adam Sandler's another one.
Oh, he hates doing print interviews. He won't. I know. I could never interview Adam Sandler. He wouldn't. He does his shtick on camera, but
exactly
it doesn't translate in quotes.
Exactly. Yeah. So, given that as the premise, is what you do, the art of the print, the print interview, is it essentially gone, or is there a way that medium can coexist peacefully or equally with the video medium?
Well, I mean, everything has changed. When, my book was coming out just after the whole David Pecker, Donald Trump trial, the Stormy Daniels, that whole thing, and Hush Money and Catch and Kill. And so I thought the Inquirer might have a resurgence at that time. Mm-hmm. So I actually went on and went to nationalenquirer.com, which I hadn't ever been on. Right. And one of the lead stories, guys, on nationalenquirer.com was, why can't James Caan find the right woman? Well, it's because he's been dead for 3 years. They haven't updated their website in 3 years. So I don't know. I mean, I still see the Inquirer. If I lift up some bread, maybe there'll be a copy of it, here or there throughout the grocery store. But I don't know who's reading this. Yeah,
that is hilarious. I am up against Amelia.
Yes.
You let me go right through my commercial break.
We were so busy talking.
Let's do this. Let's do this, and we will be right back.
I hope the commercial's not for the National Enquirer.
It's actually for a genital shaving company.
Oh, perfect. Excuse me for a second.
Do you have sweaty balls or volleyball netty balls? It's time to make them ready balls. The Manscaped.com Lawnmower 3.0 will do the job and clean your knob with its patented no-nick head, so your head will function as desired. Enter promo code WrestlingFuture for a generous 20% discount. That's enter WrestlingFuture for a 20% discount. Manscaped.com and Wrestling with the Future, going balls to the walls with Manscaped.com and the Lawnmower 3.0. Your balls will thank you, and so will we.
Jess wanted to start a business when something surprising happened.
Today I'm going to teach you how to crochet.
She started crocheting, like a lot. And her friends noticed.
Jess, you need to sell those.
So she signed up for Shopify and started building her business.
Yes, I love that.
And after a lot of hard work, this happened.
Oh my gosh, I just made my first sale!
You see, every day, hundreds of businesses get their first sale on Shopify.
We got ding!
And the next could be you. So when you're ready to bring your idea to life
and become your own boss,
build it on Shopify.
I love it. That's great.
I love it. It's funny.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's his Tinder account, right? Is that your Tinder account? Because I know that's not Instagram or Facebook.
I just knocked out my whole backdrop here while I was doing it. I hope that joke was working.
Wants to welcome our newest station, TFR Radio in Milan, Italy, and BSR Radio in Stuttgart, Germany. Welcome to What's the Buzz?
Welcome.
Okay, Amelia, we are back. You're up.
Yes.
That was brilliant, by the way, Will.
That
Thank
was hilarious. Now that you are writing your book and everything, do you find, is there going to be a book 2 that you didn't get it fit into book 1?
You know, there are more stories, but I mean, like Star Wars, the sequel is never, well, Empire Strikes Back was a great movie, so that's a bad example. Most sequels, Porky's 2, not as good. Well, Porky's 2 was also pretty good. But no, I feel like these are the best stories. And there are other stories. It would take me more effort to make those into what I've done with this book. These are the creme de la creme. And what I did with the stories in this book is they're all kind of action oriented. So it kind of plays like a movie. It could be adapted for a movie, hint, hint. I feel, I'm being chased. I'm chasing them. I'm sneaking in. I'm getting punched. I'm wrestling a bear. I'm getting my crotch grabbed by a guy from Empty Nest. So it's hard to beat that.
Oh, shit.
And I saw that you also had you go kayaking. You're an outdoorsy type of guy. Do you take your little dogs with you too? I see that you have 2 little babies with you.
Here, I'm actually
I love it.
I'm gonna shave. I'm gonna shave him now.
There you go.
That cutie. Look
Yeah,
at
this is
Look
tricks.
at that baby. Oh my God.
So when I was a producer at Home and Family, we did 2 dog adoptions every show. So every producer would go home with 1 of these or 2 of these. I have another one around here somewhere. Hopefully, he didn't get killed when my backdrop fell. But yeah, this is Trick. So bye, Trick.
Beautiful.
And there's a cat I just scared to death somewhere too.
Will, one of the things that we, in an effort to inform our audience, one of the things we like to do is take a peek behind the curtain every now and then. It's increasingly difficult because of the political climate. You know, everybody is so PC these days. How do you, without getting political or without getting politically indoctrinated, how do you maintain fairness in your reporting? How do you maintain a level kind of a balance without getting sucked into somebody's agenda? How do you do that? Give us a little peek behind the curtain, if it's possible.
I don't. I mean, that's why I'm a freelancer now. So I'm an age where I just don't give a shit anymore. And if there's an assignment that I find offensive, I say no to it. I mean, at this age, I don't want to support something that I don't believe in.
How do you do that? For example, if you're working for somebody like the National Enquirer, or if you're working for a major tabloid reporter like People Magazine or any number of those, you know, that have big money behind them.
Yeah.
How do you do that and remain remain at least within your own your own head, at least fair and balanced? I mean, it's hard to do when you're working for a company anyway, because they have an agenda.
Yeah.
Every company has an agenda. But how do you, as best you can, how do you maintain that if you're new to Hollywood and you have to work for a company rather than having the luxury of working for yourself?
Yeah. No, I mean, I will say, so when I mentioned that I worked for the Hallmark Channel for 7 years.
Yeah.
And the Hallmark Channel has grown so much in the last decade in terms of diversity, in terms of presenting all sorts of different kinds of relationships, a man and a woman and a woman, a man and a man. I applaud all that. I'm gay myself. So when I started at the Enquirer, at Hallmark Channel, at Home and Family, I do remember one of my first guests was Melissa Etheridge. And in Home and Family, we always encouraged people to show their family photos. And there was concern, not from the network, but from my immediate producer at that time, about showing photos of Melissa and her wife. And I felt that was so hypocritical. And I said, listen, if we don't allow, I've already asked for them, if we don't show Melissa's family, this could be really, really, really bad for us. And I chose to work. I had a lovely time with Homework, but sometimes my values or whatever didn't necessarily go with everyone's values. Leaving, I chose to stay, and wherever I could present a good example of myself and certain issues or crusades that I was supporting. And I think maybe in very small ways, I made a difference. So instead of retreating, I say stay at the party and meet some people and have conversations, and you'll find that you have much more in common with people that are different from you than you think.
Amelia, final round of questions from you for Will Keck, our special guest.
On that part of note, was there someone that you really didn't want to interview, but you told yourself, I have to do this, I have to finish this interview, but I'm going to do it, I'm going to finish it?
Ooh, wow. Well, you know, I will say that the person who beat me up, oh man. So I'll give the first clue that I've given to this, I'm going to give to you guys. The very first clue. One of the photos that you showed over the past hour included a group photo of a cast that did not include one person. And so this particular
I know who he's talking about.
So this particular person was the one that beat me up. And so when I was going to this next show, I specifically said, I can't interview that person.
Yeah.
He not only did he beat me up, but he was a racist. And so I just I chose to not interview that person.
Yeah.
I had a lovely time with the others in that cast.
Yes.
So that would be an example of that.
All right. I'll tell you what, I wish we had another hour, brother.
I know, right?
I know. I just finished half my shaving.
Yeah, right. Well, after the show is over, give me 15 seconds of your time.
I would happily. Can I just say that the book is my mea culpa. I apologize. I have a lot of great essays in there from people like Sybil Shepherd and Marcia Cross. Goes on, and it's available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com and Kindle and Apple Books. You can go onto my website, WhenYouStepUponAStar.com, to find out more about it.
The book is When You Step Upon a Star, Cringeworthy Confessions of a Tabloid Bad Boy. He is my twin brother from another mother, Will Keck. I'll tell you what.
And our new best friend.
I feel like kindred spirits with you, bro.
I feel the same way.
I'm telling you, we would love to have you. First of all, thank you. Shout out to my friend Harlan for setting this puppy up. Harlan's a great guy. I love Harlan. Great guy.
And I love What's the Buzz.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Amelia, what do we got coming up this week?
Oh, we have just another bullshit session with you and I. We're going to be talking about what vacation time that you spent, and then whatever bullshit stuff we want to talk about tomorrow.
Whatever the fuck we feel like it, you got it.
And then
Absolutely.
the election special on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
We are doing an election special Wednesday night. Oh man, it's going to be a humdinger, this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a humdinger. I'm guessing, wild guess, I'm thinking maybe you're going to go Harris Walls on this one. Will.
What? Oh, gee, boy, you think?
Yeah, I think maybe you're going to go for Kamala Harris on this one.
I'm thinking I might. Yes, I do. And
I'll be honest with you. I will tell you completely honestly. I was set to vote for Donald Trump. Not so sure now.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure now.
You're not the only one. A big Republican today, GOP, came out and endorsed Kamala Harris just because it's a morality issue. One of the people we had on Home and Family was help me out, the big Mormon governor in Utah.
Oh, Neil.
Help me out.
I'm not sure.
Big guy. Oh my God, I'm just blanking on his name. Anyway, I mean, he's voting Democrat, and it's not because he's lost faith in the Republican Party. My parents are Republican. It's just that this particular individual, I personally feel, is not the person to represent the country that I love because of his behavior and things he says. And I do love that you've chosen blue as your color here, to highlight all of our names. And blue is my favorite color.
It's fun. I have to tell you, Amelia, tell me if I'm lying.
Right.
Our theme for years from the beginning of this show was always crimson red.
It was.
What I changed it 4 days ago.
Was it Spencer Cox, the governor?
Yes.
Spencer Cox in Utah?
No, he ran for president a few years ago. Mitt Romney.
Romney.
Oh God, yes. Mitt Romney.
Yeah.
God, it's funny. You get so blindsided by the current situation that you forget 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's like it comes to you.
I mean, can I ask what the inspiration was by turning from crimson red to the lovely blue shade that I see before me?
I just felt moved to do it. I really did. I just felt inspired. It was, believe it or not, it was more spiritual for me than anything.
Yeah.
The colors to me represent spirit.
Yeah.
When we were blue, then we went red, and then we blue again.
Yeah, and it's funny that they call you the tabloid bad boy, because if you know my background, I'm a psychic and medium.
Really?
And I am. Yeah. I had a British reporter dub me America's psychic bad boy.
Yeah.
Really? So we really are brothers from another mother.
Yeah.
Amelia, am I making any?
No, he is telling the truth.
It's all the truth, brother. Yeah. For real.
Wow. Yeah. Are you picking up anything? Well, I guess you figured out who I was going to vote for, but anything else you're getting?
On a serious note, I think what I'm feeling is there are 2 films with your name on it. Mm-hmm. I feel like 2 films are coming up that you're going to have a part in. I definitely feel like the series that you're going to work on will have wings. That's going to fly.
Oh.
But the thing I really feel connected to are 2 films. And one of them, oddly enough, is going to feature a female lead character that you're going to have some kind of empathy for.
Yes.
So, and I feel like that's coming up. The other, not surprising to me, is we'll have with it an air of controversy that you will absolutely revel in. So keep that in mind. It's controversy that you will embrace.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. My partner and I went to see Tyler Henry last year, and man, I felt for that guy. He hit one foul ball after the other. He just could not connect with that audience. So I've gotten much more out of this 2-minute reading than I did from an hour with Tyler Henry.
Wow. I want you to hang around for about 15 seconds after the show. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of information I think you'll need.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I'm Angelo, the Mad Dog DeCipio. This is What's the Buzz, America's Best Popcast. Thank you to Will Keck, our guest, and thank you to Harlan Bowl. We will see you tomorrow night, God willing, and the creek don't rise. Take care, folks. Good night.